Everybody, we are here to talk happiness with Aleksandra Plazinic, and she is going to give us not only her story in how she's experienced happiness and how she's come to be happy in her daily life, but she's going to give us some tips. And we're talking happiness in this summit because happiness is necessary for our mental and physical health, and it's often the precursor to our lifetime health and how we can sort of manage our stress, keeps us from emotional eating, keeps us active. So it's really the undercurrent of everything we do to stay healthy in our lives. So we're going to get some practical tips backed by research, of course. And Aleksandra is going to give us not only ideas to boost our mood and achieve happiness every day, but ways we can do it with our mind, our body, and our language. So, hi, thank you for being here.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so honored to be here. And thank you for organizing this summit for overachieving women.
Sure. So, why don't you tell us first your story about how you made your way to being happy and your experience?
Well, my mom was sort of my guru because she's an optimist, and then she really influenced me to become one. And I think I'm an eternal optimist. So she was practicing, unintentionally some tools on me. First of all, like she's still big, very on being grateful and being grateful every day. No matter what you have, that you should be grateful that you're alive and that you're healthy and that you have family and many other things. So that was kind of something that I grew up with. But then, over time, then you experience things and you're not really, let's say, satisfied how things are going in your life. Especially like maybe after I don't know, after being a teenager or at university. So I wasn't always like very happy how things are turning my life. I always wanted something more. Or I wasn't looking like in the right side. So in that terms, I caught myself that I wasn't really practicing gratefulness. What she was initially influencing, but then over time, during my personal and professional life, I thought I mostly turned to outer world. So I finished my university. I gained 2 master's degrees. Now I have a Ph.D. And I'm really happy about it. But initially, I thought like those achievements are gonna bring me happiness because you're working very hard towards it. In real life, it's not really like that because even I remember I finished my PhD maybe less than a year ago. I was maybe happy, like let's say truly happy, satisfied with that, just maybe for a week, and then that achievement kind of is still there, but you don't feel the same emotion.
Amen. I mean, I think that's a common thing with a PhD. In fact, I'm like you, 2 master's degrees and a PhD, and it's exciting. It's so exciting to finish those achievements, but you've gotten to this point because you're such an achiever that you can't appreciate it. It's more like, what's next? And
exactly.
And gosh, I mean, you're only a year out from it. You should still be excited. I mean, it's such a big deal, but it's that what's next mentality that keeps you from living in the moment of your happiness and your excitement. And I think all the ladies out there who are these achievers understand that feeling where it's always like, okay, so now what? Now how can I be better? So what's happened since then? So now that you have all these achievements and you felt like you're still not quite there and happy, what next? What did you do?
Well, when I finished my second master's degree, I was in kind of a crossroad. I came back to my home country, so I was looking for a job. I didn't have my partner. I kind of changed group of friends, so I was again new coming back to my home, and then I decided to pursue life coaching. So I found a life coach, which really helped me in my personal development,
Oh,
to set the goals, and as well to practice the daily joy, which at some point I was missing, or I wasn't like very consistent, because you cannot have, I mean, amazing achievements every day. You can, I mean, if you look at it differently.
yeah.
So I embarked on this journey, and it really helped me finding joy, I would say, which is the most important thing, like in my daily life, apart from, of course, fulfilling my personal and professional goals.
Yeah. But that daily joy, it seems like that's something we lose sight of when you have those personal and professional goals and you're actively working toward them. It's interesting that you found this, that move from the external to the internal ability to find the joy. And I think that's often the missing factor for a lot of us, where we keep looking
Great.
to, achieve, to see, work hard to see our friends more, do more for our families. And that internal joy is often the hardest thing for us when it should be so easy.
Exactly. Yes. So, yeah, in that experience, I turned from the outside world, and let's say the outside world controlling how I feel, whether I achieve something, or whether somebody says something nice to me, or if they don't, then I feel bad. So I kind of try to take that remote control back to myself. Yes. And of course, I still get a bit frustrated, or you don't feel very well when somebody makes a comment or something happens. But I think like that's part of life. But now, like I think I have like important tools that I can use, or that I can reach out to every day, that can help me boost my mood and my joy and happiness.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us about some of those tools? I mean, that is so interesting that you have something, pretty much a toolbox of what you can use each day. So
yeah,
tell us about that.
So I focused before when I finished life coaching, and now I have a life coach certification myself. I mostly focused on our mind, because I was very intrigued at the power that we have with our mind, that we can visualize things, that you can define, let's say, goals that become your that actually realize, because you can impact your, let's say, future and your life in that way. Lately, I explored the other side, as how I can instantly use my body and both body postures to feel better and to feel good, and especially if I have to prepare for something really important, let's say like an interview, or
let's just say
let's say this one. And as well, I think like the part of that triangle is as well emotions. So what kind of emotions are you producing while picturing your goals and doing your let's say body postures? Because for me, it's really, what's the point of setting goals if you don't feel well about it, if you don't feel like excited? And as well, what is the
important
point? And what is the point of like your everyday life? I mean, if you don't feel happy and joy, I mean, regardless of your achievements, or what do you do, like I mean, in your job or in your families? Yeah. I'm glad you agree with me.
So, I'm dying to know, what are some of these physical postures you use? That's so intriguing.
Well, that was recently revealed, a couple of years ago, by Harvard researcher Amy Cuddy, and she even wrote a book about it called Presence, where it's very important. And on life coaching sense, you have the how you call it, like a imaginary spine, so that has to be like straight. It goes through the center of your body, so it's really important. Even okay, now I'm I couldn't do it because of the camera, But what happens is that she talks about this power woman position. So if you stand like for 2 minutes in power woman position, it will definitely boost your mood and your performance. So it's really good to do it, let's say, before an interview or before something really important.
Yeah.
Because our bodies, like we influence our mind with our bodies.
Right.
And there was research done with basketball players who actually were exercising on the court, like using their bodies. And the second group was just like picturing the same thing in their minds. So not like they were not involved in the physical exercise.
Right.
And then when they compared those two groups on the performance, they had the exact same performance, which was amazing. So
That's
like
amazing.
the power, yes. So the power of your mind is as equal as power of your body. But sometimes for me personally, it is hard to, when you're like in a bad mood or you're influenced by some negative, let's say, thoughts, it's very hard to like shift. And then in that terms, I use my body. So basically you stand up straight in a power woman position for 2 minutes, and it can really help you feel more positive. As well, the same researcher defined that you know, like when you raise your hands, like in a victory level, everybody does that. Like all the like athletes and I mean regular people when you achieve something, even the blind people do that.
What?
So that was so that was as well very surprising for me, because that's kind of something that that is inside us, like as a human being. Very natural position, like if you're achieving something and if you feel happy, that to raise your hands like in a V position.
That's so interesting.
So once you explore that connection that you can as well use your body to influence your mind, then you can really, I think, easier shift from the negative to positive mindset.
That is so cool. I love that idea, because we hear about visualization a lot, especially in athletes and top executives and, you know, even normal people like us. And visualization's powerful, but the ability to shift your mood by using your body too, I think that's revolutionary. I mean, the whole power pose research is, I hadn't heard it used like you're describing it, of, you know, making that mood shift. Like I've heard it, you know, like you do that before an interview, but I like this idea of really like doing that hard stop and then using both your mind and body to shift things. And, you know, we can do that anywhere. You could, you know, if you're about to go into a big meeting, just go to the bathroom and do it. And, you know, or close your office door.
Exactly.
I think that's amazing that you can quickly shift everything by just some really simple things, you know, just mind and body for 2 minutes. I mean, we can all do that.
And as well, breathing, you can do it by breathing and relaxing your stomach, actually your solar plexus, by walking as well. Like not even just like power walking, just like walking, maybe changing your speed. I found out that works for me, because I'm not a runner. I don't really like to run. I'm more of a walker, yoga, of course. But it's like anybody can do walking like for 20 minutes. And the research are showing now that 20-minute walk, like after lunch, like for 6 weeks, can even replace the psychological therapy.
Wow.
So that's how our bodies as well, again, influence our minds.
Right, you're even being able to do that. It gets you, you know, it helps you digest. It gets you moving. It changes your mood. I mean, why not? Who can't find 20 minutes? It's free, even better. And, you know, think about those with dogs out there. You already have to do it. So why not? Gosh, I love that. That's really interesting. And, you know, that 20 minutes of walking, there's a difference between activity and fitness, and both are necessary. And getting activity like that, it's so easy to make it part of your day and part of your routine. And my theory is that activity is more important than working out and fitness. If you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
if you just have time for one, moving. And look, I mean, already we have good evidence for doing that, for just moving
Yeah,
around more. So that's so
exactly.
cool. What are some
So
other tricks you use?
So the others, it's gratefulness.
Yeah.
When now we're shifting to mind, I think that's a very powerful tool. Just to,
Mhm.
I know a lot of people use sentences like "think positively," but it's not really. Um, I think it needs to be more defined, and it
Yeah.
needs like more explanation to that, because it's not that easy. So
No, it's not. We'd all do it if it were that easy.
yeah, just like, okay, that happened, like think positively. I
Right.
mean, it doesn't work that way. So one of the things like is to be grateful, really to shift
Mhm.
what you have, even like from smaller things like I mean material things to your body as well.
Yeah.
Um, and on the other side, I think like powerful tool is like if you want to put a smile on your face and to have
Mhm.
like an inner smile, to think of the person that you love. So it can be
Oh,
your family member, or
yeah.
your parents. Usually people think of their kids, if they have one,
Yeah.
or dogs even. Like
Yeah.
just imagine that that person is approaching you, and you would like have this internal smile.
Well, it's interesting how just smiling, it's sort of a fake it till you make it sense, where just smiling can start to lift your mood. And
Exactly.
you feel a
That
little
too.
goofy, but it can lift your mood just by doing that action. And yet again, using your body to stop the negative and start the joy. That's
Exactly.
And you can do that. Don't do a crazy smile. You could do just a
Yeah, just like
natural one.
make a nice grin. I'm
Yeah.
glad you mentioned that, because I use that as a lot. That's as well the connection within, let's say, body and facial
Yeah.
expression. Because it's called embodied embodied connection.
Huh.
So when you
Oh.
smile, actually your let's say your body or your face is sending signals to your mind that
Yeah.
everything is okay, and it's like sent back, like reverse, and then you're really starting to feel great and positive.
Oh.
So it
Wow.
is a very powerful tool. Even some people say, okay, I cannot smile, it's fake, but just like try it,
Yeah.
for a couple of minutes and see what happens. I
And
mean, similar as the power body pose,
yeah. I think
like the
that
power facial expression
and that's
pose.
easy. I think that's more palatable for most people than there's something called laughter yoga, which is if you watch it on YouTube, it's the craziest thing ever. But by forcing yourself to laugh, you eventually start to laugh, and you get this whole group of, kind of psychotic looking people laughing. And
As
that's,
long as they feel great, I mean.
yeah, I mean, it's an extreme way to do it, but I think it might be more doable for us to smile. Laughter yoga, though, ladies, if you have not seen that, it's hilarious. So check it out on YouTube.
Yeah,
But
they're not even saying jokes or
no,
anything.
they're just forcing themselves to laugh until they're actually laughing. And this is something you can do without looking unhinged. This is like if you just smile and, not just smile without a connection. I like your idea of thinking about somebody you love, somebody that makes you smile, that it makes it gets that full connection between, your face and your brain. That's
Exactly.
really
You have
cool.
this pleasure, like nice, warm feeling when
Yeah.
you think of somebody that you love and that you love back as well.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful. Now, what are some ways that we can use language? That was one of the things that you had mentioned before our interview, that you can use
Yes.
language also. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm as well NLP practitioner, which
Hmm.
stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming, even though it sounds very weird. So that part linguistic, it's very important how we talk to other people, and as well
Yeah.
how we talk to ourselves, and what kind of words do we say.
Yeah.
for instance, like I was very surprised that the negative words, let's say no and don't, are not really processed in our mind. So our mind cannot process that not or no word. So when we tell our kids, don't do that, or don't cry, and then actually it's processed like commands, like do that or cry or
Well, that
something.
explains a lot.
Yeah, it's very weird. And I feel we as well talk to ourselves like that, like don't be stressed or don't be negative about it. Actually, like we should move to, like, say, more positive sentence. So let's say, okay, be more relaxed, try to be more relaxed, or it's gonna be okay, or just kind of reverse that word in order to feel better. And I mean that you can actually advance, let's say, in your skills or in your mood in that sense. As well, when you're talking to people, usually the command, and as well to yourself, like that imperative is not working. It's like do that, or we feel like a lot of resistance to it. Then like let's say if I tell you open the door, then it's like you have a choice, like whether you're gonna do it or not. Maybe you're gonna say no, I don't want to do that, like you do that. So it's better to use it as a question. So could you open the door? Well, when we're talking about like with ourselves, saying like I need to do this, or I have to study, or I have to do this. And then it's like better if you reverse it as a question. Could you do it? Or could you just like work for a little bit? And then it's kind of relaxes our mood. And when you say could, then mostly the answer is yes, because that kind of, our mind is translating that to our abilities. It's like, could you do that? It's like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
That's really cool. My area of study is language and communication, of course, and health. That came later. But the way that we talk to ourselves is, there's a theory that, through pretty much internal persuasion, you talk things into existence. And when you are essentially saying, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm not the type of person who, you start to believe it. So NLP is an interesting, really, extension of that idea that, language matters, well, to other people, to you. And I like the idea of really framing it as a question, because you're like, yeah, of course I could. Yeah, I could do that. And it's almost like a challenge where you're just like, well, yeah, sure, I could study for another 10 minutes. I play a game on the treadmill where there are times when I just, even the health professional does not want to work out sometimes. And I'll be on the treadmill and I'll say to myself, can you do 10 minutes? Yes. Okay, now can you do 2 more minutes? Yeah, of course. Can you do 2 more? Yeah, of course. And
that's great strategy.
And the asking yourself questions, this way of using NLP is a neat way of like making it a game. Because you're like, well, yeah, I could do that. Sure, I could do that. And combining that with breaking it down into these small goals, I think we can find a way to do some of the stuff that seems hard or unpalatable. And when you feel like you're achieving these little things, could I? Yeah, I could. That boosts your joy, because you're like, I did it.
Absolutely. You have the experience that you can use it like to doing something else.
Yeah.
Even like with the small achievements, and if you've done it, then you're more, let's say, capable. I mean, we're always capable.
Yeah.
We always have the old resources, just like we cannot really tap into it. But then you really have like a personal experience to that, like, and your body and your mind has that experience, so you can use it like to do something else.
And part of really achieving anything, and then feeling like you can, and then feeling that the capability and that overall positive feeling about yourself, is that experience you're talking about, where you remember you already did this. And I think combining that with framing as a question, talking nicely to yourself, and remembering that experience, it makes us see that we're more capable than we thought. And even really these things that seem hard, like, when you're just like, well, how am I supposed to, oh, geez, sorry. How am I supposed to have joy and how am I supposed to do this every day? If you break it down to, can I think of 3 things I'm happy about? Can I think of this? It really, you're giving some very practical advice here. And I think it's something that we can do. Yeah, we're busy. Yeah, we have a lot going on. But, again, can you think of one thing that
Yeah.
makes you happy today? Can you put a smile on your face? And I really like that. Your approach is really this multiple ways of finding, can we do it? Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. So what else have you found when you are in a foul mood, just like you cannot bring yourself out of this terrible mood? What do you do to change that? Because I'm sure even you have had a bad mood day.
Of course, everybody has it. Definitely. Well, like I told you, lately I maybe try to use more bodies because I felt like it's more instant.
Yeah.
If you do, I do other energy poses that involves like jumping and putting your hands like in different positions. So I feel like in that terms I bring my mind.
Yeah.
Like as well boost my mind and happiness. I always think like things could be worse.
Yes, always good to think about the alternative.
Because they can always be worse. I recently saw the interview with Sheryl Sandberg, and actually that comes from her psychologist, saying because she recently lost her husband, and he told her, the therapist told her, like, you know what, it could be worse. And then she stopped and said, like, how come it can be worse? I just lost my husband. And then he said, yeah, but he had a heart condition. So imagine he could have been in a car driving your kids.
Yeah.
And, imagine what would have happened, like, if he had a heart attack then. Right. And then she really realized, like, I could have lost all of them.
Yeah.
Really, like, it makes you wonder. Because I think, like, always, like, the situation could be worse. And so I was, and as well, because the momentum starts, let's say, in 13 sort of seconds. So in 13 seconds, like, you can think, like, I usually do is, it's going to be fine. It's going to be better. I'm feeling better. This is already, shifting in the right direction. And you kind of do that for 13 seconds, and the momentum starts. And then you have all other more positive emotions that up to, let's say, 68 seconds, and then you start to feel better like after 1 minute.
I mean, that's crazy that so quickly you can start to feel better just by doing a little bit of work there, just seconds worth of work. And you can start that process, that snowball of feeling better and, okay, all right, yeah, it could be worse. Yeah, all right, it's not so bad. And that's incredible.
Yeah, I think like you're kind of going like on this scale because here if you feel like, let's say, very bad, and here like you feel very good, and then it's like you cannot like reach in a minute like from here to here, but then you're like climbing the ladder, and eventually like you will reach like the top. The most positive emotion.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing that you can make such a shift in a short amount of time. And we all go through things where we're so frustrated, or we're just angry, or we just feel really crappy. Whether it's at work, or it's with kids, or it's just something funky going on. You just have your period. Some things happen, and sometimes we can't explain why. But being able to stop and take seconds just to make that shift, to start making it better, it gives me a sense of relief to even hear that from you, that really it doesn't take that long to start to make things better.
Yeah, I think it's like just important to be aware that
Yeah.
let's say that you're feeling negative, and kind of stop that process.
Yeah.
Just like stop and focus on something, let's say, more positive. Not like even putting a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Just like that. It's gonna be fine. I'm feeling a little bit better already.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah, I'm continuing to enjoy, and then you focus on something positive. You see something that is nicer, and the
Yeah.
process starts.
And it would not be good if you could go from terrible mood to extremely happy. We call
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
bipolar, and it's not good. So you don't want that anyway. It's nice that you can make this eventual shift, and then as you get better, you can kind of catch yourself as that bad mood starts and make the shift. Sometimes, but
Yeah.
also, that's not to say that sometimes you don't want to feel your emotions. We're not trying to mask your emotions. Feel the anger, feel the sadness, but
Yeah.
also pull out with this advice. I think it's,
Yeah.
if we're always happy, then you don't appreciate what happiness actually is. But
Exactly.
this
That's why you have all this like different emotions. So
yeah.
we get to experience it as human beings and learn something from it, and as well do
Yes.
something about it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
because sometimes anger is great, is good. I
Mhm.
mean, that you're angry about something and then you're gonna change it.
Yeah,
Because if you were not angry, then maybe there is no progress.
right. Exactly. I mean, feel your emotions, but don't linger in something that doesn't feel good. Uh,
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to ask you, what is your absolute best tip? What is your absolute favorite thing to tell somebody that you're coaching if they are working toward this sort of, day by day joy, the internal motivation? So, what's finding that internal? Like, what is your best tip?
To fighting, well, it takes a work, so you have to work on it every day. I think it's important to be aware of your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just like during a day, to stop and think, like, how am I feeling right now? Am I satisfied or not, or what happens? So I think like the awareness is the first step, and then you can use all those tools, meaning being grateful as well,
Yeah.
visualizing, using your body, using your emotions, using your focus. So I think it's like a mix of all those things.
Right.
Well, lately I've been using different methods, like
Mm-hmm.
Sedona method, which comes to from releasing,
Hmm.
and EFT method, which is it's popular, like tapping
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
tapping, like emotional freedom technique.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it helps just to release emotion, or
Yeah.
to release that even goal like that you're very fond of, just
Right.
like to release it, just so you can feel lighter, and you can feel, let's say, free and joyful.
That's going to be a hard one for us to release those goals. That's tough. But I think
It is.
it's
Yeah,
something to
but
look
it takes
toward.
time. Yeah.
And if a goal's not serving you, there's no point in having it. So I think that awareness that you're championing here is really that's important. Check in with yourself, know what you're feeling. If you can change
Exactly.
it, change it. If perhaps a goal is not serving you, maybe find another one. Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for just your advice and sharing your experiences. I think being able to be aware and understanding that we can change really get the process kicked off, change our moods in seconds. That gives a lot of hope. So thank you so much for giving of yourself today and helping us.
Thank you, Kelly, so much for inviting me.